Spiritus Vitae is Sinful Echos' newest release in collaboration with Katie, aka My Beauty Filled Life on Instagram, and these are the swatches that I did, and in order it's Devotion, Dokkaebi, Dalnim, Yeomra, Incantation, Intention, Ascension, and Kumiho. By the time this video gets up, the collection will already be available for purchase. Each shadow is going to be $15 each, and the empty palette is going to be $13, but this weekend only, if you buy all the singles, which is going to be $100, you will get the palette for free, and it's launching on Sinful Echos website, which I will link down below. I am a huge fan of the packaging of this palette as well. The design is so on point and beautiful and just perfect for this release. For the eye looks that I'm doing today, I am using a bunch of different matte eyeshadows from a bunch of different brands, and I didn't include it on screen this time just because it was going to take so long to edit all that, so I do apologize for that because I didn't want to worry too much about what matte eyeshadows I used. I really wanted the focus of the looks to be the shimmers, and I will list all the products that I use below, so don't worry. For this particular look, I am using Kryptein Cosmetics Burnt Forest palette, which is also no longer available. I definitely think you could use another brand's eyeshadow, just because these green shadows are not like particularly rare undertones, so definitely have colors like this in my collection elsewhere as well. I just really wanted to use those particular greens, especially because I knew I really wanted to use Kumiho, and I wanted to use Intention and Devotion, which I did end up using those, but because they were blue, I was like, I really want to do something kind of green with it, and the one color in the Kryptein Cosmetics palette is like kind of like a teal, a dark teal, blue, greenish color, and anyway, that to me is like the matte colors that really guided the look when I was kind of planning it in my mind. I also really wanted to take a moment to congratulate Katie on such a beautiful and thoughtful collection. So if you don't follow Katie on Instagram, you definitely should. Also, thank you to the brand for sending me this in PR. Half of the collection is like an homage to her dog Penelope, who passed away recently, and it's also a celebration of her Korean heritage as well, which is why some of the names are Korean mythological characters. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that you'll see the spelling for Yeomra and Dalnim as Yeomra and Dalnim, and I was asking my mom about it, and she was saying that it's harder to say it, so that's why it's pronounced Yeomra and Dalnim. But in my head I'm like, but then why are they spelling it like that? But I don't know, I'm not a language expert, so don't ask me about that. So I will say I did get some fallout and creasing from Intention, and honestly just shades that are dark like this generally crease on me. I know it's not a black based multi-chrome, but it is a darker base. It is very pretty, as well as a little bit more satin than the rest of them, but it still has like this really beautiful like magenta-y red-ish shift that I really liked. But if you are prone to creasing like I am, it is just something to take note of. I mean, I'm still gonna wear it, especially as a liner. I think it would look so sick as an eyeliner. On the lid, I'm wearing Devotion, which is like this beautiful mid-tone holographic blue shadow. A lot of the shadows from this collection are really dry, which I really love because they tend to just perform the best on my eyes when they are a drier formula. And I have used holographic eyeshadows in the past that feel kind of like cornstarch, and these don't have that feeling, thankfully, and Sinful Echos makes really beautiful holographic eyeshadows, and Kumiho is one of my favorites. It's just this like perfect blend of holographic and iridescent, and it's just blends beautifully into Devotion, so I really love it for that. He's barking because he saw the neighbors in their own backyard. Otherwise, Devotion and Kumiho were really easy to work with, and don't get me wrong, Intention wasn't difficult to work with either, but it did give me a little bit of fallout just because I did apply a little bit too much, and I think it is a shade that you can pick up with a brush, but it is easier to use your fingers, and that way you don't, oh my god, stop. It's better to use your finger versus the brush so you don't get any fallout. I did not realize that I just like subconsciously smile whenever I'm done with an eye look. Like, you see me do it in so many videos, and I literally had no idea I did that. But let me know what you think of this look. I love it. It's beautiful and glowy and blue and green, which is one of my favorite color combos. So pretty and sparkly. And it really, really makes me want to wear these eyeshadows again. Like, I'm trying really hard to rotate stuff in my collection just so that I can get through everything, but yeah, I'm excited to wear these again. For some reason, I was deeply possessed to do a purple cut crease. I don't know why I was possessed to do such a thing. And I mostly used the Blend Bunny, oh my god, which one? Oh, I used Surge mostly, and then I used a little bit of Primal as well. I couldn't tell you why I did that, and it was kind of a mistake to do that because it stained my lids pink so badly, oh my gosh. And of course, two of my favorite Blend Bunny palettes are discontinued and no longer available, and may not ever be available again. I'm not really sure, but I really like the purples in there because they blend really well. In Surge specifically, I like Primal as well. I do find the Blurple, like kind of indigo row, can sometimes be a little bit patchy, but I will say the black in Primal is so much better than the black in Surge. I don't know what it is, but Vinyl, which is the black eyeshadow from Surge, just always deposits fallout on my face, but it used to be my favorite black eyeshadow because out of all the black eyeshadows I had tried in the past, it was like they just weren't that good, and Vinyl was like my first taste of a above decent black eyeshadow, but then the black in Primal showed me what a real bad bitch could do. Now I kind of feel like I have to do a video talking about my favorite black eyeshadows, but I don't know if that would be that interesting for people because I would probably include some black shimmers in there. I don't have a lot of those, unfortunately, even though I really like them. I don't know why I don't have that many. Yeah, some of them are relegated to palettes, so it's always like, should I include that? But you know what? I think it needs to be talked about. I have talked about the different ways that I go about doing a cut crease because sometimes I will start with my darkest color first and then work my way out to a lighter color, and then other times I will start with the lighter color first and work towards a darker color. And I wouldn't say there's one method that is better than the other. I will say that if you really struggle with like bringing your darker colors up too high, and then you don't have enough room for the lighter colors, it does make the most sense in my mind to start with the darker color and work your way out from there. But sometimes it can be a little bit tricky blending out from dark to light, especially when you have limited lid space. But like I said, if you have a habit of really bringing your darker shadows up too high, it can be really helpful to place the darkest pigment first because you can do a really light layer and then also gradually build up pigment from there. But that way you know, like, okay, I'm going to place a little bit of black down first, and then next you're going to go in with your dark purple and not continue going up with the black, and then maybe at the end going back and deepening the darker purple with the black where you initially placed it, is also a pretty viable method for doing a cut crease. And I really spend a lot of time switching between my colors as well, between like purple, like the mid-tone purple, the dark purple, and I use my black very sparingly, but I am using it with a really small brush. And I also, that is another thing that I talked about in a previous video, is using smaller brushes, but especially for a cut crease, I find it is so crucial to use really small brushes and a very small amount of pigment. And that's also what I really like about Blend Bunny's matte eyeshadows, is that they're very pigmented without being overwhelming at times, and you can still get a lot of pigment even from a small amount of eyeshadow, but not so much pigment that you're like drowning in it and you don't know how to like blend it out, you know what I mean? And for me, one of the most satisfying and relaxing things is just really blending out eyeshadow. Like, I do get stressed out doing it sometimes, especially when I can tell that I'm like making mistakes, but this blend, I really, really love how it turned out, and I'm really satisfied with it because it can be really hard to get a seamless blend. Even after how long I've been doing eyeshadow for, you would think that I would be a professional at this point, but you know what? Even professionals make mistakes, so don't be too harsh on yourself. My husband and I recently played Luigi's Mansion 3, and I've never played a Luigi's Mansion game beyond, oh my gosh, maybe I'm showing my age here, but McDonald's back in the day, they would have GameCubes in the little play park areas, and there was a Luigi's Mansion like demo or something. We never got that far into the game because, I don't know, but same with Pikmin. I think they had Pikmin there as well, and that was like my really only experience with a Luigi's Mansion game. But it was a little frustrating at times, and it is supposed to be a multiplayer or single player game, but there were some segments where I was like, oh my god, this would be so hard to do by yourself. So if you are interested in playing the game, I would really recommend having someone that you can play with. And you know, it is nice for couch co-op as well, because I feel like that is kind of a dying breed of game, and honestly I don't even play every couch co-op game in existence either, but you know, it is nice to kind of spice up the game library every once in a while. I'm using the Made by Mitchell color case in the electrics, and I'm specifically using the shade Hushed. I really wanted to use the color Hushed just because whenever I pull out this damn color case, I'm always using Ruffles, which is the white color, and I was a little hesitant to use a pink base, especially for the shadows that I'm going to use in this look, but then I decided, you know what, I really want to wear pink and purple together, and I think it would be a really fun way to showcase the eyeshadows that I'm using, and none of them were really that transparent except for Dalnim. But even then, like, it was so pigmented that you didn't really see the pink coming through underneath, which I really liked as well. So it really didn't matter what color I think that I used underneath. I was worried about it, but it ended up not being a big problem for me. So that was really nice. And I did end up showing how I did both of the eyes together. I really don't do that just because usually when I film both eyes for a cut crease, I always mess up the other one up without realizing it. And it is already hard enough to do a cut crease when you're not filming it and getting it to look even, and so the added pressure of filming is normally too much for my poor brain to handle. But you know what, it actually turned out really even, so I'm very proud of myself. I really do like the color case in that you get enough time to blend, but it also sets fast enough, and it also layers really well on top of itself, so that's a really good plus for that, because sometimes I've used products for cut creases that dry down and then you can't layer on top of it, and it's like, well, now I just look crusty as hell. I'm as crusty as a crab, damn! But yeah, I really like using this for cut creases. I don't know if I would advise putting the spatula so close to your eye, because I don't know how I haven't poked myself in the eyeball yet, but you know, please be careful when you use it. Even though it's a rounded edge, it is still like metal, so just be careful with that. And I'm just laying down some pigment primer on my eyelid. I do have to be careful with this because sometimes I feel like pigment primer can kind of like disrupt a layer beneath. The first shadow that I'm going in with is Dokkaebi, which is this like really beautiful plummy eyeshadow with some really gorgeous and grungy green sparkles through it, and it also has like a semi-transparent base, but it builds up really well, so you don't have to worry about it looking patchy. It applied really well with a finger and also blends really well with a brush. And for the lid shade, I went in with Yeomra, which is this really unique shadow in my collection especially. It's smooth, but it still has some really nice sparkle to it, but it's almost like a gray purple. I really don't know what kind of color that is, but it's so beautiful, and it almost looks like a taupe, but also manages to be purple at the same time. So I think this would be great for people who have to wear like more neutral multi-chromes. This is beautiful. Dalnim is also one of my favorite shadows from this entire collection. It's just, I mean, okay, it's green, so I'm already biased, but it has this like beautiful level of transparency and it has this like gorgeous like cyan light blue shift in it, and it's really a top pick for me. It's I really don't like ranking eyeshadows like that, but in this collection, like if you only had to get like a couple of them, Dalnim is one of my favorites. I generally don't like smooth eyeshadows, but I also really like the smooth eyeshadows in this collection, especially Yeomra, because it is smooth without being gritty or too textured, but still looks really beautiful on the lid. And I know that not everyone likes a textured eyeshadow, so this is a really great alternative for that, and it still has like a beautiful like shift to it without being too much, because again, I know some people don't like super shifty eyeshadows, and yeah, honestly, like every shadow in this collection is very beautiful, and I love that Katie had such a strong vision for what she wanted, and also that Sinful Echos was able to execute her vision perfectly. So congrats to the both of you for that. Truly incredible. I would also recommend Dokkaebi for somebody who loves like a grungy shadow, but it still has like, it has color without being like bam in your face, like bright, if that makes sense. So if you're looking for like a really unique shadow, Dokkaebi is really unique. I was also a little unsure about how all three of these eyeshadows would look together, especially Yeomra, because it is so like neutral leaning, but I'm really glad that they just all work together really well, especially because like when you look at them in the pan, like seeing them side by side, you're like, oh, that's kind of an odd combination, and it really is, but you know what, it works. And you know what is actually funny is in my palette, like if you saw in the beginning of the video, I actually have Dokkaebi, Dalnim, and Yeomra right next to each other, so it is kind of funny that they all ended up just working out together. I also really wanted to do like a semi-boldish but not like super bold lip, and I also really love purple and brown together, but again, because we have that green from Dalnim and Dokkaebi, I just wasn't 100% sure if it was gonna look good together, but you know what, it ended up looking just fine. I don't know what I was so worried about. I really do love wearing brown lipstick, and I just don't wear it that often. I don't know what it is, like it really is such like a neutral lip color to me, but, and I saying that, and I didn't even wear a brown lip. I'm wearing a brown lip liner and then a super My Lips But Better lip shade, so that is funny. And this is Ave Maria from Dinto Cosmetics. Again, I really like this color, but it definitely does need a lip liner for me because it's just like a scotch too light on its own. I really don't have pigmented lips, but I feel like it's somehow like the color of my lips when I don't have a lip liner on. I am looking like a freaking donut though, like, I really like the look though. I'm always gonna say, I'm so happy with how this look turned out, because yeah, I am happy with how this turned out. I just really love that these colors really came together in a way that I wasn't expecting, and sometimes you just gotta take the risk and, you know, strut your stuff. This is really inspiring me to do more purple and brown together, because I really do love the way that it looks together, and it would be so fun to see this with a full brown lip. I am a crazy cup lady. I hate to admit it. I'm not like a Stanley cup lady, but I freaking love my Hydro Flask tumbler thing. Oh, it's wonderful, and it takes everything in me to not buy every cute color that they have. It's an illness. I am very well aware of that. Don't judge me for it, please. And for this look, I really wanted to do something a little bit subtle, so I went into the Sinister spellbook palette that Sinful Echos released this past October. The two mattes in here, Hex and Grimoire, are really unique mattes in my collection just because they're such an interesting undertone. Like, they're kind of cool tone, and Hex is like this kind of, it's like a gray color, but it has like a little bit of like a blue edge to it, so I really like that. And Grimoire is like almost this dusty mint color. It's like a gray green, and I really like it, and it's, I feel like, a shade we don't see that often in mattes, but it's very beautiful. And then I did use a little bit of a color from the Beaute Bar and Sassy Fairy collaboration, Realm of Fairies. Silver Mist, which is like this really light blue shade. I knew I really wanted to keep this look, I don't want to say light, but I didn't want a ton of depth happening in this as well. But I obviously wanted enough to where, you know, we had a little bit of dimension going. And why do I feel like I'm kind of matching my freaking cup? Okay, I'm embarrassed now. I was kind of frustrated at my bathroom mirror being so hard to reach, but you know what? It has really helped me to stop picking at my skin, and that was just a really bad habit of mine for so long. And honestly, it's not up until recently that I realized, I was like, holy crap, I like rarely pick at my skin anymore. Like, don't get me wrong, I still do every now and then, but I have really scaled back with that. And I am very happy with myself because some of my habits, man, my bad habits especially, are so difficult to combat. I don't remember if I've talked about the About Face liquid matte lipstick on here. I like the formula. It's not transfer proof, but it builds itself really well, but it just has like the worst flavor known to man. I don't know what you would describe the flavor as other than complete hell on earth, okay? God awful. They need some vanilla flavoring in there, please. Just a little something because I can't stand it. For the lid, I decided to go with Incantation, which has this like baby blue base and a peach shift. It is so pretty. I love peach and blue together. It's one of my favorites. And I'm also wearing Ascension, which is like a, I don't want to call it teal, but it's not like, I don't know, it's like a bluish base with a super strong saturated purple shift in it. It's so pretty. The sparkles in Ascension are also, I mean, just lovely, and it sheers out so well, so I think you could easily wear this built up or sheared out, and I love it for that. And I will say Ascension is kind of similar, where I feel like you could shear it out really nicely, but it also, again, builds up on itself really well, which is really nice. Also for these ones, I don't think I applied a glitter glue underneath it, but because they are a smoother formula, I don't think they necessarily needed the glitter glue, and I think they would also wear fine on top of glitter glue as well. And it just kind of depends for me, because sometimes I do wear it and other times I don't. Really just depends. Like, I actually just wore an eyeshadow recently that I wouldn't recommend for glitter glue. But let me know which look was your favorite, and I mean, I just love the simplicity of this, but it still has like so much depth to it. It's just so pretty and sparkly. So I would love to know what eyeshadows y'all loved the best out of this collection, and if you're planning on picking anything up, comment below and have a little chat. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!